boxes, I've got cans, I've got glasses, I've got bottles, I've got signs, I've got lighted signs, mirrors, just a little bit of everything. And you know, it's just whatever appeals to me, and I guess to some degree whatever is financially available.
My main interest is what I consider central Illinois breweries, primarily the ones that are no longer around, dating back as far as possible, you know, pre-prohibition and stuff. And so they're mostly from small towns in central Illinois, names most people haven't heard of.
Gary and Kent are Central Illinois collectors of breweriana, or anything that has to do with beer.
Always been a collector of something. Started out with coins like lots of kids did. And up through college, didn't collect too much, didn't have the time for that. But then one night, living in a fraternity house, we had a big card game and associated drinking going along with it, and next morning I cleaned up my room and found about 6 or 8 different kinds of beer cans laying around on the floor. Just stuck them up on a shelf thinking, well, that's interesting, you know. And that's basically how it got started, because everybody started looking at the cans and going, oh, well, I live up in the Chicago area and I drink this other kind up there, and I'll bring you down one. So pretty soon my shelves started filling up, and pretty much was hooked by then. I ended up filling up 2 shelves in my room, and I didn't have enough room in the room to go with it, but stayed with it. And after I graduated, got married and just continued collecting and expanded until 1973 when I joined the national organization called Beer Can Collectors of America, and then it exploded, and this is the result.
That result spans a garage, room in his basement, and his very own man cave featuring items ranging from cans to advertising to beer bags from the pre-prohibition era and beyond. And it all started simple.
Country Club malt liquor was an 8-ounce can that came out, and in the 60s they were promoting it pretty heavily in this area, and you would get a beach towel with the purchase of a 6-pack of Country Club malt liquor, and the towel was worth more than the beer. So I got those. I've got different Budweisers, local stuff, Falstaff, Big Cat malt liquor, Drury's Old Stock from South Bend, Indiana. Just stuff that was local that I could get, or that people, fraternity brothers, would bring home from visiting home, you know, and they'd grab a 6-pack or something and give me a can of it.
But what makes breweriana so collectible?
For me personally, the brewery it comes from is a big factor. Then after that, eye appeal, obviously. So if it is a really neat graphics, that adds to it. But also I collect it all, but I really like cardboard stuff, paper stuff, because it pretty much was made to be disposable, and for it to survive after some of it, 100 years, and be in good enough shape to put up on the wall and, really be attractive. I think that's kind of neat that, you'd love to know how it happened to survive 100 years, Yeah.
I'm really attracted to advertising, and I like colors. They kind of pop for me, and the different kinds of advertising that are available are really what interests me now. I got into GB originally just because it's the initials of my name, and it also happens to be the St. Louis area, so it's readily available, and was cheap enough that I could buy a few pieces from time to time.
Old, neat, cheap, and local. Words to live by, according to Kent. But with his interest in smaller breweries that have long since disappeared, that can sometimes be a challenge.
You go anywhere you can to find it. Sometimes though, they actually, probably because they also were small and maybe still had limited advertising funds, the graphics really aren't that neat, but they're scarcer and harder to find, so that makes them more attractive, even though they're not as pretty.
Gary and Kent both belong to local and national beer collector organizations, one that even holds a canvention every year. While the breweriana is their passion, they say the people you meet along the way are a nice bonus too.
We find this a very interesting hobby. We have a lot of fun with it and meet a lot of great people. Even if you go to a beer show, for instance, or see somebody at an auction that collects the beer, it's not about getting something there all the time as it is, talking with your friends and sharing stories about what you find, that sort of thing.
I just enjoy it. I sometimes come down here and just pull up a chair and look around and go, okay, I wonder where I got that, or what I paid for it, or what I traded for it, and what it's worth now, having seen it on eBay or something, and just kind of relish the thought of having it all and enjoying it.
Kent and Gary enjoy it so much, they say they wouldn't mind being surrounded by it all day long. At least if it were completely up to them.
If I was living alone, I'd probably have my whole house directed in breweriana. I just like it's got a old, original, good quality breweriana. Has really got a quality look to it. It's just nice looking stuff.
I have one advantage over Gary though. My wife allows me to display it all through the house, as long as it meets her approval, with the item, But we have like lithographs and signage that we look at as a piece of art, like somebody would put a picture up, so those types of things she'll let me put up. Because she does it, she shares the interest in the hobby, just not to the extent that I do. But she's a collector herself, so.